Your yard is embarrassing you. Mine too, honestly. There are 4 plants growing in my yard right now that I did not plant. I genuinely don't know where they came from. They just showed up one spring, and they look better than everything I actually tried. Meanwhile, I spent $200 on a raised bed setup, babied it all spring, and by June it looked like a crime scene. Here's the thing nobody explains when you're standing in the garden center holding a flat of annuals that smell amazing. Some plants need you. They need your attention, your water, your deadheading, your presence. Pull back for 2 weeks? Gone. Forget to water during a heat wave? Dramatic, theatrical death. And then there are the other plants, the ones that have been quietly building root systems underground while you were busy with your actual life. The ones that don't need you to be dedicated. They just need you to put them in the ground once. Those are the plants we're talking about today. 12 perennials that come back every single year, handle neglect like a personality trait, and make your yard look like you actually know what you're doing, even if you very much do not. Before we get into it, what's the worst plant failure you've ever had? Mine is coming up in about 4 minutes, and it's genuinely embarrassing. Drop it in the comments. I promise you will not be the worst one. And if nobody has ever given you a plant list that actually works for real life, that's kind of my whole thing here. Subscribe if you're new. I put this out every week. Let's go. Plant number 1, Daylilies. Let's start with the one that has been in American gardens since before your grandparents were born, and has earned every year of that reputation. I know what you're thinking. That's so basic. And you're right. They're everywhere. Front yards, median strips, overgrown roadsides, abandoned lots. And the reason they're everywhere is the same reason they belong in your yard. They do not need anything from you. Full sun, part shade, clay soil, sandy soil, a slope you can't mow, a flat bed you neglect. Daylilies simply do not care. They grow in dense clumps that crowd out weeds naturally. The plant is doing your weeding for you. Every 3 to 4 years you divide them, which costs you nothing except 20 minutes, and gives you free plants to fill in other spots. And the variety is genuinely staggering. Over 80,000 registered cultivars: hot orange, burgundy, soft cream, deep red, sherbet pink, bicolor. There is a daylily for every single aesthetic. This is not your grandmother's scraggly orange ditch lily. Modern cultivars are extraordinary. One important note: daylilies are toxic to cats. Not dogs, not other animals, specifically cats. If you have outdoor cats, plant these somewhere they won't graze. Hardy, in zones 3 through 9. Most of the country. Just put them in the ground. Plant number 2, Black-Eyed Susan. If you have never grown anything successfully, if your track record with plants is genuinely concerning, start here. Black-Eyed Susans are the answer to, I want flowers, but I am not responsible enough for flowers. Those bright yellow petals with the dark chocolate center? You've seen them everywhere because they grow everywhere. Meadows, roadsides, highway medians, neighborhood gardens, and they look cheerful and deliberate no matter where they land. Drought tolerant. They self-seed, meaning they spread on their own and give you more plants next year without you lifting a finger. They bloom from midsummer all the way through fall. Months of color, not weeks. They attract butterflies and bees constantly. And they're native to North America, which means they evolved specifically to survive in this environment without any help from you whatsoever. You can deadhead them to keep the blooms coming. Or you can leave them completely alone and let them do exactly what they want. Both approaches produce a beautiful garden. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. One of the most adaptable perennials alive. We're 2 plants in, and I already know which one you're going home to buy first. But hold on. Because plant number 7 is the one I get stopped about in my own yard more than anything else. People genuinely think I hired a landscape designer. I'll tell you what it is and why it has that effect. Keep going. Plant number 3, Coneflower. Okay, here's where I have to make a confession. I killed a coneflower once. This is the embarrassing story I promised you. I overwatered it, over-fertilized it, fussed over it constantly, repotted it twice, and watched it slowly give up on me in real time. The coneflower didn't fail. I failed the coneflower. Because the secret to coneflowers is that they thrive on neglect. Heat, drought, poor soil, minimal attention. These are not problems for a coneflower. These are its preferred conditions. It's a wildflower at heart. It does not want to be pampered. Available in purple, pink, white, orange, and yellow, These tall daisy-like flowers are some of the most beloved perennials in the world. They bloom for months. Pollinators flock to them constantly, and in fall, if you leave the seed heads standing instead of cutting them back, songbirds feed on those seeds through winter. You get garden structure and wildlife habitat without doing a single extra thing. Deadhead for more blooms. Or don't deadhead. Coneflowers perform either way. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Just don't love them to death. They hate that. By the way, is your plant failure story worse than killing a coneflower by overwatering it? Because if so, I genuinely need to know. Drop it in the comments. Plant number 4, Salvia. Important distinction before we go further. There are annual salvias and perennial salvias, and we want the perennial kind. Look for Salvia nemorosa specifically. Compact, upright plants covered in rich violet, blue, or purple flower spikes. They bloom heavily in late spring and early summer. And here's the part that feels almost unfair. If you cut them back after that first flush of blooms, they come back and bloom again in late summer. 2 rounds of flowers for one simple pruning. They handle heat. They handle drought. They don't want heavy fertilizing. They actively repel deer and rabbits because of the strong aromatic oils in the foliage. The plant protects itself so you don't have to. The one thing that kills perennial salvia reliably is overwatering or poor drainage. Give them sun, give them decent drainage, and they perform magnificently for years. Hardy in zones 4 through 9. Plant number 5, Catmint. If you want your garden to look like a soft, dreamy cottage garden with almost zero effort, this is your shortcut. Catmint forms beautiful mounded plants covered in clouds of small lavender blue flowers. Blooms heavily in spring. Cut it back by about 1/3, and it blooms again in late summer. Season-long color from one simple haircut. Handles sun beautifully. Grows in poor soil. Drought tolerant. Doesn't need fertilizing. Works perfectly as an edging plant along paths and borders, softening hard lines with its relaxed flowing habit. Bees and butterflies work it from the first bloom to the last. The only wild card, cats will roll in it with genuine enthusiasm. This is not your problem to solve. Watching it happen is honestly entertaining. Hardy in zones 3 through 8. Tell me in the comments, what does your yard actually look like right now? Sun? Shade? Total disaster? I read every single one, and I'll tell you which plants on this list are made for your situation. We're halfway through this list, and I want to flag something. The last 6 plants include one ground cover that will legitimately eliminate your weed problem in a specific part of your yard. Not reduce it, eliminate it. And the final plant on this list is the one that makes the whole garden look designed, not just planted. Don't go anywhere. Plant number 6. Hostas. You have a shady spot in your yard. Maybe under a big tree. Maybe on the north side of your house. Maybe just a corner where the sun never really reaches. Most flowering plants look at that spot and refuse. Hostas look at that spot and say, finally. Hostas are grown primarily for their foliage. And what foliage it is. Huge architectural leaves in deep green, blue-green, golden chartreuse, and gorgeous variegated combinations of white and green. Some varieties stay small, 6 inches across. Others spread to 4 feet wide and become the centerpiece of an entire bed. They thrive in shade. Surprisingly drought-tolerant once established. They get bigger and more impressive every single year without you doing anything, virtually hands-off once planted. If you have a shady corner you genuinely don't know what to do with, Hostas fix it. Completely, full stop. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. By the way, if you found this halfway through someone sharing it and you're not subscribed yet, now's a good time. This is what I do every week. Real plants, real results, no performance gardening. Plant number 7. Russian sage. Here it is, the one I told you about. Russian sage is not actually a sage. It's not actually from Russia. What it is, though, is one of the most visually stunning, most effortlessly elegant, most comment-generating plants you can put in a garden. From midsummer through fall, it sends up tall, airy silver-white stems covered in tiny lavender blue flowers that seem to float and shimmer in the light. The whole plant has this misty, cloud-like quality. It moves in the breeze. It catches the afternoon sun. It makes everything planted near it look more beautiful by contrast. If you're a structured garden person, this is somehow the plant that looks most intentional. If you're more cottage and wild, it fits that too. It just works. And the care requirements are almost embarrassing in how simple they are. Full sun, poor to average soil, and I mean genuinely poor. Rich soil makes it floppy. It actually performs better in lean soil than in fertilized, amended garden beds. Excellent drainage. Plant it and essentially ignore it. Drought tolerant once established. Deer resistant, heat tolerant, wind tolerant. Does not want to be babied. Heavy fertilizing actually reduces its elegance. It wants to grow a little wild, a little tough. This is the plant that makes your yard look designed when everything around it is completely natural. It carries the whole visual weight of a garden bed without demanding anything from you in return. Hardy in zones 4 through 9. In zone 4, cut it back to about 6 inches in late fall. It comes back every spring without fail. Plant number 8. Sedum, also called stonecrop. This is the plant I have never seen die. Not once. Not in poor soil, not in full blazing sun, not during a month I completely forgot to water, not in a rocky slope with almost no topsoil, not in a container with terrible drainage. Sedum just does not die. It's a succulent. It stores water in its thick, fleshy leaves, which means drought is not a stressor for sedum. Drought is just Tuesday. The most famous variety is Autumn Joy, and it earns that name. Opens with pale pink flower buds in late summer, deepens to rich rose as it peaks, then transitions to warm rust bronze by fall, and holds that color and structure well into winter, long after everything else has gone dormant. You get visual interest in your garden from August through January from one plant that asked nothing of you. For hot, dry, sunny spots where other plants struggle, sedum is the answer, always. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Some varieties handle zone 2. Plant number 9. Lavender. Lavender is one of those plants that actually prefers a little neglect, and I need you to hear that correctly, because it's the opposite of what most people do when they get excited about lavender. It wants poor, lean, well-draining soil. It does not want to be fertilized. It does not want wet feet. Overwatering is genuinely the only reliable way to kill it. If you're the type of gardener who forgets about plants for stretches at a time, lavender is made for you. The blooms are iconic. The fragrance is extraordinary. It's a natural insect repellent near a patio or seating area. The dried flowers are useful in cooking, sachets, and teas. In mild climates, it's evergreen, meaning it gives your garden structure year-round, not just during bloom season. The less you fuss over lavender, the better it performs. That is the rare and beautiful promise of a truly well-matched plant. Best suited to zones 5 through 9 for most common varieties. In zone 4 or colder, grow it in containers you can bring inside in winter or treat it as an annual. Quick question, are you a set-it-and-forget-it gardener, or do you actually enjoy the fussing? No wrong answer. Tell me in the comments because it completely changes which half of this list I'd push you toward. Plant number 10. Creeping Phlox. This is the ground cover that solves your weed problem. I said I'd get here, and here we are. In spring, creeping phlox does something that looks almost impossible. It produces such a thick, dense carpet of small flowers, hot pink, magenta, purple, white, lavender, that the foliage nearly disappears underneath them. It cascades over rocks, tumbles over retaining walls, floods slopes with color in a way that looks like you spent serious money and serious time. You didn't. You planted it once. After it blooms, it becomes a neat, tidy, evergreen mat of fine foliage that crowds out weeds for the rest of the season. Holds soil in place on slopes, looks intentional, and designed through every month of the year. The entire maintenance ask is a light trim after flowering to keep it compact. That is the complete job description. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Plant number 11. Yarrow. Yarrow started as a wildflower. That single fact tells you everything you need to know. Flat-topped clusters of tiny flowers in reds, yellows, pinks, creams, and whites rise above feathery, fern-like foliage. The overall effect is relaxed, naturalistic, cottage garden, but completely self-sufficient. Tolerates drought, heat, poor soil, and almost zero fertility. Self-seeds and spreads gradually, filling in gaps without any help from you. The cut flowers dry beautifully and hold their color for months. Excellent for indoor arrangements that last through winter. One note, in very rich, heavily amended soil, yarrow can spread aggressively. Give it a spot with leaner conditions and it'll behave beautifully. Hardy in zones 3 through 9. Exceptional for northern climates. Plant number 12. Karl Foerster feather reed grass. I saved this one for last because I want it to be the thing you walk away thinking about. Karl Foerster is an ornamental grass, but that description undersells it considerably. It grows 4 to 6 feet tall in a neat, upright, architectural clump that does not flop, does not sprawl, does not spread aggressively. In late spring, it sends up feathery green flower plumes that catch the light. By midsummer, those plumes mature to warm gold. By fall, the entire plant transitions to rich bronze gold that glows in the low autumn sun. And in winter, it stands. While everything else in your garden goes dormant and shapeless, Karl Foerster holds its structure through cold, through snow, through wind. On a clear winter day, it sways and catches the light in a way that is genuinely, unexpectedly beautiful. This is a 4-season plant in the truest sense of the phrase. Most perennials give you a few weeks of bloom and then become background. Karl Foerster is interesting in every single month of the year. Drought tolerant, heat tolerant, no fertilizing needed, no staking, no support. The entire annual maintenance task is one hard cutback in late winter before new growth emerges, down to about 4 to 6 inches from the ground. One haircut per year, that's the whole deal. If you want height, movement, texture, the sound of grass moving in the wind on a calm afternoon, and 4-season visual interest, Karl Foerster is the most efficient way to get all of it at once. Hardy in zones 4 through 9. Okay, before you close this tab and forget everything, here's how to actually use this list. For shady spots, Hostas and Coneflower. These two will completely transform any dark, difficult corner of your yard. For hot, dry, full sun spots, Black-Eyed Susan, Sedum, Yarrow, and Russian sage. These 4 will thrive in the conditions that stress or kill most other plants. For ground cover and weed suppression, creeping Phlox. Plant it once and watch the weed problem solve itself over 2 seasons. For color, pollinators, and fragrance, Lavender, Coneflower, Salvia, and Daylilies. Your bees, butterflies, and hummingbirds will be genuinely grateful. For structure, drama, and year-round interest, Russian sage and Karl Foerster grass. These 2 plants make your whole yard look designed rather than just maintained. You don't need all 12. You need the 3 that solve the specific problems your yard actually has. Here's what I actually want you to do after this video. Pick 3 plants from this list. Just 3, the ones that match your situation, and put them in the comments right now before you forget. Tell me your zone, your biggest yard challenge, and your 3 picks. I'll personally reply and tell you whether that's a smart combination or whether I'd swap one out. Post it. I mean that. Here's the thing I really want you to hear before you go. You don't need more time. You don't need more knowledge. You don't need to become a different kind of person with a different kind of schedule. You just need plants that were designed for the life you actually have, not the idealized version you planned on having. Pick 3 from this list. Plant them this season, and then do nothing. Because that's the whole point. There's something really specific about walking outside with your coffee on a summer morning and realizing your yard is full of color and life that you put there, and it happened without the guilt, without the constant attention, without the money pit of plants that didn't make it. That feeling is real, and it's not as far away as you think. If this is the kind of content that actually helps you, no fluff, no perfectly curated lifestyle, just practical plants for people with real lives and real schedules, I make this every single week. Subscribe so you don't have to go looking for it. It'll come straight to you. One more thing. If you've ever had a garden moment that surprised you, a morning you walked outside and thought I actually did something right here, I want to hear about it in the comments. Those are the ones I come back and read when I need to remember why I do this. Tell me yours. Go get your hands a little dirty. I'll see you next week.